In Forsaken right now, there are a total of 5 killers: Jason, Cool Kid, John Doe, Onex, and Nlly. These killers have different unique abilities with different playstyles. However, some are way better than others. In this video, I'm going to rank all of them in this tier list. We'll be talking about how they play and how easy it is to win as a killer or survivor. Starting with...
My name is Jason. I'm gonna kill you. And when I do...
Our first killer is Jason. He has a 2-star difficulty. He has 4 moves: Slash, Behead, Gashing Wound, and Raging Pace. His terror radius is 45, so it's way easier for him to sneak up on survivors. His Slash is one off, if not the best in the game for its fast wind up and high damage utilizing bleed. It does 28 damage total with the bleed effect. Behead is a move that makes Jason dash forward and slices the survivor. Survivor is given helpless for 8 seconds, while Jason is given slowness 1 for 2 seconds after these. And for his final main damaging move, we have Gashing Wound. It does a total of 50 damage through a bunch of slashes. Jason stops completely while using this move, meaning that it's only really useful for catching survivors off guard or while the survivors are doing gens. This attack has the highest base damage out of any attack, not counting the standing next to Onex while he does mass infection. This move has a 40-second cooldown. His final ability is Raging Pace. This makes it so he can't run, however he has the higher speed than walking and buffs his damage to all his moves. M1 does 25 damage but doesn't apply bleed. Behead does 35 damage, and Gashing Wound does an amazing 70 damage. He also dashes forward while using M1. Jason, believe it or not, is a very skilled killer due to him having no ranged abilities. If you don't manage your stamina well, you will get looped and you will not be able to kill anyone. He is also very predictable if you don't use him properly. In a game, I do believe he is the overall worst killer. Not only that, Jason is hard countered by Builderman, Discard, and literally any Sentinel except for Guess, affecting his speed. However, I won't put him low in anything. Sure, he might be the quote-unquote worst killer, but the lowest I'll put him is B tier. If an experienced player likes to play Jason, he can be one of the best killers, but him having no range moves and the looping problem makes him annoying to play with sometimes. However, with all these cons, Jason can be very punishing in the right hands. It's almost a death sentence to play with Guest if you're not using him correctly, as he will Gashing Wound you, and he will take half your health if you block early. Overall, I think Jason is the worst killer in the game. However, I still think he can be used in the right hands and is extremely punishing. So, B tier is my answer.
Cool Kid, shut the fuck.
Next killer we have is Cool Kid. Cool Kid has a 3-star difficulty and is by far the most popular killer in the game. People that don't know about Forsaken and not old Roblox might know who Cool Kid is just because of how popular it is. He has a terror radius of 60 and has a low health of 800, meaning that sometimes, very rarely, you can kill him. Cool Kid has 4 abilities: Punch, Corrupt Nature, Walk Speed Override, and Pizza Delivery. His first ability is Punch. It does 26.5 damage and has the fastest windup and has a shorter hitbox than most M1s. It is pretty good. It has the fastest windup in the game, making it very easy to hit. It's probably the second best M1 in the game. However, it has a 2-second cooldown, which makes it the longest M1 cooldown. His second ability is Corrupt Nature. He throws out a levitating god brick that does 15 damage and slows survivors it hits. This move has a 12-second cooldown. This is an amazing move for stopping chases and catching up to survivors. This move is also amazing for hitting people doing gens. However, it's quite slow and glitchy sometimes, so it does require some skill. His third ability is Walk Speed Override. This ability lunges him forward and slashes the person he hits for 30 damage, plus an extra 15 damage through burning. This move has a 20-second cooldown. This move is very good for mobility and damage. To an average survivor, it does almost half their health, making it extremely good to do off-guard damage. It's also really good for catching up to survivors. However, with that being said, if you miss it, and there are no walls nearby, you will get punished heavily. This move, if you miss it, basically guarantees the survivor to get away, which is very, very bad. So the only time you can really use this to dish out damage is when you're up close in an open space. Considering all things, this move is very balanced, being very rewarding or very punishing. His final ability is Pizza Delivery, which Cool Kid summons 2 pizza minions to hunt down the survivors. This ability is at finding survivors. So many things can counter it. I don't really see it as a survivor location ability, however, as a pressure tool for utilizing it in your looping spots. For example, if a looping spot has two separate ways the survivor can go, the minions can go one way while you go the other, making it so you can basically stop looping entirely. This combined with corrupt nature makes Cool Kid very good at stopping loopers. Overall, I won't say he's the best killer like a lot of people say, he's S- at best. However, because he's very easy to use and how his attacks do pretty hard damage quickly, I'm gonna have to put in an A tier. He's not as good as the other killers in my opinion.
I'm done. How did that hit my turret?
Our next killer is John Doe. John Doe is a 5-star difficulty and a terror radius of 60. He definitely has the most unique playstyle out of all the killers, utilizing his moves to trap survivors and block off certain areas. He has 4 moves and 2 passive abilities. Here are his passives: Natural Malevolence and Unstoppable. And onto his moves: Slash, Corrupt Energy, Digital Footprint, and 404 Error. His first passive is Natural Malevolence. He has this corruption shield behind him that does damage to any survivors near him. This is a pretty good counter to survivors like 2-Time that need to get damage to try him. His second passive is Unstoppable, which if he gets stunned in the windup of Corrupt Energy or 404 Error, he only has a 2-second stun and gets speed 1 after he breaks out of the stun. This makes stuns kind of like an advantage for him, which he gets speed 1, which is pretty cool. I can't lie. And onto his moves. His first move is Slash. It does 28 damage, as the highest base damage out of any slash without any effects. However, it has a very long windup, meaning that guests can easily get a block out of it. This is probably tied with Onex in 3rd place on the slash tier list. It does high damage, however, it can be countered by guests, meaning that's probably the second worst amount in the game if you're up against a competent guest. His second move is Corrupt Energy. He summons a wall of spikes that can trap off survivors and does 12 damage per spike, dealing up to 48 damage total. This move is his main move for trapping survivors and utilizing walls. This move is either very good, very situational, or very, very predictable. If you spin around while using the spikes, it can do some good damage. However, if you just go in a straight line while using them, it's so obvious that you're trying to hit the survivor. However, this move is amazing for cutting off areas in a chase with lots of walls that can block the survivor from moving. The move also gives John Doe speed 1 for 7 seconds. His third move is Digital Footprint. He stomps on the ground for 4 seconds and creates a void puddle. This move has an 8-second cooldown. This move is mostly used to block off looping areas like the one in Glass Houses or the one in Pirate Bay. Survivors step in this move, they get corrupted and get slowness 2 for 10 seconds. John Doe also gets speed 1 for 10 seconds. This move has a lot of good places you can put it. However, it can kinda be countered by 007 and 7 with his clone ability. However, you get speed 1 for 10 seconds, which can probably make you kill the person you were chasing. This move also highlights the survivor and John Doe with a red outline. Again, this move is mainly used to block off looping areas, which on some maps work really, really well. However, on some others, it's dreadful. And for his last ability, we have 404 Error. Yeah, this isn't really that special, it's just his way of finding survivors. It has the same cool thing with Corrupt Energy where you can get speed 1 after getting stunned using it. Overall, John is really either good or really bad. On some map, he excels, and others not so much. So I'm gonna have to put him in B tier. He is fun to play, however, he's just way too map dependent. He has so many problems that I kinda have to put him there right now in the state of game. Our next killer is Onex. Onex has a 4-star difficulty and has a terror radius of 60. His passive ability is literally stinky aura around the player while using him. Yeah, take a shower if you're using him right now. Okay, on a real note, he has 5 moves: Slash, Mass Infection, Entanglement, Unstable Eye, and Rejuvenate the Run. The Slash does 20 damage at its base, but it gives the survivor poison, so it does a total of 28 damage. I won't talk about the glitch effect because it can be turned off in settings. This has an alright windup, not as long as John Doe and Nlly's, but not as fast as Jason's or Cool Kid's. So it's pretty good, I guess. The second move is Mass Infection. He slashes the air with his massive slash that can go very far and hit survivors from a range. It does pretty good damage with 35 plus poison. This move is simply incredible for hitting survivors far away because of its range and damage. Not only that, if you hit it up close, it can do the highest damage in the game. and is simply incredible. However, it is way harder to hit because what dumbass would go up to the attack? Am I right, guys? For his next move, we have Entanglement. He throws out 2 swords for a narrow projectile that, if hit, forces the survivor to click pop-up ads. That is guaranteed to stun them for 1 to 5 seconds. This is good for getting an M1 or 2, maybe even very rarely a mass infection. This move is also really great for stopping chases because Onex has the slowest run speed, making him not be able to catch up easily. However, Entanglement is his saving grace and makes up for his running speed. And after that, we have Unstable Eye. This move isn't that special, it's just his way of hunting survivors, although it does give you blindness for a few seconds, that's it. And for his final move, we have Rejuvenate the Ron. This move revives any dead players into zombie minions that attack the survivors in a 30-step radius. This move is very, very good for LMS, which I should bring up here. Onex is the best killer in LMS. All the other killers except Quokid excel in LMS, not as much as Onex. His zombies basically chop off a lot of areas that are more populated because that's where all the people died, which is funny because all those minions are better than John Doe's entire chopping ability. Overall, Onex is an interesting killer, which all of his moves consist of range. However, like John Doe, he is map dependent. He isn't that bad as John Doe in this aspect. However, on some maps like Cool Carnival, it can be quite easy to win, but on maps like Brandon Works, where most of the people will be elevated on a castle, it can be annoying. So overall, Onex is probably the killer with the highest peaks. Most people would put him in S tier. However, that map dependency and how some of his moves can be hard to hit if you don't have good aim, he can be annoying to play with. So, A tier.
Driving in my car right after a beer. Hey, that bomb.
Now we have the final killer of the video, Nlly. Nlly has a 5-star difficulty and has a terror radius of 80, which is the biggest terror radius in the game. He has 4 moves: Slash, Void Rush, Nova, and Observant. He also has 2 passive abilities. His passives are in-depth and interesting that it would take a pretty long time to explain everything. So let's start with Hallucination. Hallucination is an effect exclusive to Nlly that is invisible to the player and that is spread through multiple different ways. There are 3 total stacks of the effect until it can reset. At Hallucination 1, the timer can mess up or be wrong, or the objective counter can have misinformation. At Hallucination 2, if a Discard, Builderman, or Elliot are in your game, Hallucination spawns fake force fields, fake dispensers, and fake pizzas. And at level 3, a fake Nlly comes to attack you. Survivors get outlines with different lines of purple for each stack of Hallucination. Light purple at Hallucination 1, normal purple at Hallucination 2, and dark purple at Hallucination 3. If Nlly does any attack on you, all Hallucination stacks will be removed. His second passive is Prankster. Nlly summons 1 to 3 fake generators that if a survivor does one generator puzzle, they will be highlighted to Nlly, and if they complete a fake generator, a fake Nlly will spawn. There are also multiple ways to tell if a generator is real or not, but the most notable way is by looking at the top of the generator. You can see a Nlly face on the fake one, and nothing on a real one. These passives are by far the best in the game. I know a lot of people say, they don't do anything, but they do. Fake Nlly's got buffed so hard that it's actually kind of hard to tell if they're real or not. The other hallucination effects, like the pizza one, can help if they aren't really paying attention to the game. If they see the pizza, they more than likely, they will run at it. Only if they see the pizza be thrown by thin air, they won't try and get it. And finally, onto his moves. His first move is Slash. It does 25 damage and is by far the worst M1 in the game. To be honest right now, I think this is Nlly's only weakness. His primary attack is bad, it applies no status effects, and has the same windup as John Doe's, so guests can easily get a block out of it. His second move is Void Rush. Void Rush is like a better version of Walk Speed Override. You can steer it, you can stop when you want, and it's not punishable to miss. If you hit Void Rush, you get the chance to re-rush and hit the survivor again. It does 10 damage for the first rush and gives Hallucination 2. If you re-rush, it'll do 50 damage total. This move is also incredible for getting across the map. One thing to note is that if the survivor already has Hallucination 2 or higher, the rush will do 40 damage for the first rush, but you can't re-rush. His third move is Nova. This move is simply a better Corrupt Nature in my opinion. Although it can't go through walls, the hitbox for this thing is massive. Not only that, it's very easy to hit. It doesn't do much damage, only 15, however it's good for catching survivors off guard and doing some more fun tricks like pulling them off the castle in random works. His fourth and final move is Observant. Nlly can see all the generators on the map and can teleport to whichever generator he wants. Once he teleports, all the survivors will be highlighted on the map. This also spreads hallucination the farther you are. If you're closer to Nlly, you'll get hallucination 1, but if you're further away, you'll get hallucination 2 or 3, depending on how far you are. Overall, right now, I'd say Nlly is the best killer. He is pretty interchangeable with Onex, but I think he's a bit better because he isn't that map dependent like Onex. Nlly has incredible movement, pretty good damage, easy to hit moves, and a pretty good passive, so I think he deserves S tier. And yeah, that's my list. I know a lot of people disagree and say Cool Kid is S tier and Nlly is B tier. Just remember that this is my opinion. Although, my opinion is still way more valid than your opinion, because my opinions are better. See ya.